We have a mock draft 2.0. We have the trade that just happened with Carson Wentz. So how does that impact this mock draft? We'll roll through it here. I'll start off here. Jacksonville with the first pick. Trevor Lawrence.
Lawrence flips it in the flats. Howell stretches for the pylon. Touchdown! And the Tigers begin to chip away.
Buck, this to me, the pro day the other day, kind of finished that. I don't know if there's any question before the pro day, but I have no doubt whatsoever he'll be the first pick to the Jags.
No, he's going to be the first pick. The way that you saw Urban Meyer on the field, the way you saw him interacting, he was already visualizing or envisioning how Trevor Lawrence is going to be his quarterback. I think it's a done deal. He's number one. He comes off the board first.
Yeah, number two, the New York Jets have him going with Zach Wilson.
Zach calls for the snap at his chest. Quarterback draw. 15-10 to the 5. A spin, a dive, and a score!
I just think it makes a lot of sense. You've got a new coach. Let's push the reset button. Let Zach Wilson, who fits in this system beautifully, his ability to throw on the move and add some creativity to that offense, I think would be a fun watch. And I think you get a cheap contract here to control for the next 4 or 5 years to be able to build up some pieces in free agency around him.
Yeah, you're hitting the forward reset button because now you got 5 years to get that championship caliber squad put together. When you have a young quarterback playing on that rookie deal, makes a lot of sense. And he's also a very good player.
Yeah, no doubt. All right, let's get to number 3 here. Jamar Chase.
Now Burrow going to launch downfield for Chase. Who's got it? Touchdown, LSU.
I think we're on the same page there, right? You have him as the top receiver in the draft. I have him as the top receiver in the draft. Miami, though, I would say with this Eagles move, with them trading Carson Wentz, I would not be shocked if you did see some movement there, potentially, if the Eagles really like Justin Fields or if it's Trey Lance, whatever guy they would like. Be ironic if it was Trey Lance, right? Going back to North Dakota State for another quarterback. But I could see the Eagles, it's in their DNA to be aggressive and potentially going up to 3. No harm, no foul for Miami. They would go back to 6 and probably still get the player they would have taken at 3.
Yeah, no, I think there's certainly all kinds of things that can happen at number 3. And I think for the Miami Dolphins, the number one thing that you have to do is you need a playmaker. You have to get someone on the outside that can do it. Jamar Chase is fantastic. When you go back and look at his tape, you forget out of sight, out of mind. But then he reminds you quickly, man, he is a real special player on the perimeter.
All right, I've got Justin Fields going back home, going to the Falcons with the 4th overall pick. Arthur Smith gets a quarterback to develop. He can roll with Matt Ryan next year. Let Justin Fields develop on the practice field before you cut him loose in 2022 to be your guy.
I like this, and I like this because I think there's similarities in terms of the way Justin Fields plays at his best and the way that Ryan Tannehill played at his best. And so I think it's a very similar blueprint for Arthur Smith to build this offense around a young, dynamic player, someone who can use his leg, but also has big-time arm talent.
Yeah, the Cincinnati Bengals at 5, they need to do a much better job protecting Joe Burrow. I go back and forth here. Rashawn Slater, I think, is the better player right now. Penei Sewell probably has more upside with the size that he possesses. So I have Penei Sewell going here to the Bengals at number 5.
Yeah, I like Penei Sewell. I think Penei Sewell is another guy that we talk about out of sight, out of mind. This is a big people mover. He can move him off the ball. He can get to the next level in the run game. I think he'll continue to develop in pass protection. I like it because it's all about protecting the king. They got to protect Joe Burrow in the pocket.
All right, the interesting one here, the Eagles. In this scenario, I've got them taking Kyle Pitts, tight end out of Florida. I think a lot of people this took them back a little bit, but this is a playmaker extraordinaire who's going to be a matchup nightmare.
Remember, one timeout in the back here, and you're not going to need it. Kyle Pitts scores it.
I don't anticipate Zach Ertz going to be on the Eagles next year. You pair him up with Dallas Goedert, one of the better young tight ends in the league. Both these guys can play with their hand on the ground, but man, you can manipulate defenses and matchups however you want. You can line Kyle Pitts up at the X, and he'd be their best option as an X receiver on their roster right now.
Oh, I like it a lot. This is something that I also thought about in my mock draft. Like, put him there because he's a weapon. He's a playmaker. And we've seen these teams, and it reminds me going all the way back to the Baltimore Ravens years ago when they had Todd Heap and Shannon Sharp. And Shannon Sharp was kind of that X factor. I believe Kyle Pitts is someone that is like that. You're going to get a special player on the perimeter.
Yeah, Detroit, it's kind of a long rebuild coming there, and I've got them going with somebody that can anchor that defense. Micah Parsons, the linebacker from Penn State. As much as I love the physicality and the speed, it's actually his ability to cover, I think, that's going to really, really have an impact there for the Lions.
Yeah, I think he's been lost in this process. Like, I think people have kind of forgotten
he's a good
about
player, man.
Micah Parsons. And then when you turn on the tape, I think he is a bully between between the tackles. He can do a lot of different things. His size, speed, physicality, and toughness is something that would give some bite to that Lions defense.
All right, let's keep it rolling here with Carolina going to quarterback Trey Lance. So that's 4 quarterbacks in the top 8. We'll see. Carolina could go after a veteran. I know they've tried to get in on some of these guys. We'll see if they try and push all their chips into the middle for Deshaun Watson. But we don't know if he's going to get moved. So if that doesn't happen, let's look at it as it is. They need to get a quarterback. Trey Lance with tremendous upside out of North Dakota State.
Yeah, if you listen closely, they tell you everything that they're thinking. The owner, the head coach, Matt Rule, they've talked about it. They lost 8 one-score games a season ago. They want someone who can finish in the fourth quarter. Trey Lance has special qualities when it comes to his ability to run it and throw it. Don't let that one game that he played in this year distract from what he was able to do previously. He's a very talented quarterback with a lot of upside.
All right, next, Caleb Farley, 9th pick to the Denver Broncos. Where'd he play in college, Buck?
He played at Virginia Tech. I want everyone to know. I understand he's a Hokie.
I think he's the best corner in the draft. I think he's a really, really good player. But if he's not the best corner in the draft, some people would say it's the next guy here with the Dallas Cowboys at number 10, Patrick Surtain, the second from Alabama.
Yeah, well-schooled player. Patrick Surtain is fundamentally sound, does everything that you look for, and I'm not surprised. His dad had tremendous ability. The bloodlines are certainly followed.
All right, let's rip through 11 through 15. Number 11, the Giants taking Greg Rousseau, edge rusher from Miami. San Francisco at 12, Rashawn Slater, tackle or guard. You can play him at really any of the 5 spots from Northwestern. 13, the Chargers, Jalen Waddle from Alabama, wide receiver. 14, back-to-back wide receivers from the same school. Devontae Smith goes 14 to the Minnesota Vikings, which I think some people will go, wait, they just took a guy last year. Yeah, no, that's okay. You're allowed to have multiple guys. Let's pair him up with Justin Jefferson and throw Adam Thielen in there, and let's chuck it all over the yard if you're the Vikings. And then 15, New England, who I think could be in the business of moving on from a corner. They bring in a corner, J.C. Horn.
Like that. Now, so there are 2 picks that stand out to me. One, the New York Giants and Greg Rousseau.
From Miami's side of midfield at the 49, Pickett under some pressure. Great tackle brought down by Rousseau.
I really like that because having known the Giants and their draft profile, man, they love them long, lean, and lanky off the edge. Greg Rousseau fits the profile. Reminds me a lot of Jason Pierre-Paul when they took him. And then Jalen Waddle going to the Los Angeles Chargers. Man, you talk about building strength on strength. Another playmaker to slot inside of Mike Williams and Keenan Allen with Justin Herbert. Look out. Hard trying to defend that team.
Yeah, and I mentioned it in the blurb on NFL.com. Look, they would mean they'd have to be aggressive in free agency addressing the offensive line. They have to get that accomplished this offseason. But, man, if they go get a couple starters in free agency and then now you could dedicate a second, third-round pick to the offensive line, I think they'd be okay. But just adding some speed, some big-time speed, and a player like Waddle, man, it'd be a fun offense to watch there. All right, let's keep it going here. Let's go 16 to 20. Elijah Vera Tucker, guard, going to Arizona out of USC. Kwity Paye from Michigan goes 17 to the Las Vegas Raiders. 18, the Miami Dolphins with their second first-round pick. They go with Najee Harris, running back out of Alabama. 19, the Washington football team, Christian Darrisaw, tackle from Virginia Tech. And then 20, the Bears go Kadarius Toney, a wide receiver out of Florida.
Yeah, the thing that stands out to me is the first running back coming off the board, Najee Harris, going to the Miami Dolphins.
Waddle working his way back. It seems like he might be available for the national championship game in 11 days. Hurdling is Harris, and now running down the sideline. And he's chopped out of bounds deep in Irish territory.
Natural player, you and I have talked, you talked about the Matt Forte comparison, and I believe that's a very apt comparison. His ability not only to make things happen with the ball in his hands as a runner, but to catch the ball and run routes out the backfield. For a young quarterback like Tua Tagovailoa, you need to have someone that can alleviate some of the pressure. I believe Najee Harris certainly is capable.
All right, let's keep it moving here. That would change the offense there, absolutely, when you add those 2 guys. 21 through 25, Greg Newsome, new name here, corner from Northwestern. He goes to the Indianapolis Colts. And now they just got Carson Wentz. They did not have to give up a first-round pick this year, so they can supplement the roster. So I've got them going Greg Newsome. Tennessee, Jalen Phillips, edge rusher from Miami, the second edge rusher from Miami to go in the first round. The Jets, Ronnie Perkins, a new name. I got to give our guy Nabil a little love here because I was going through watching these guys, and he said, hey, have you watched Ronnie Perkins yet? I said, no, I haven't seen him. Let's see what we got. So I popped him on, and darn good football player So I've got him going to the Jets. 24, Pittsburgh, Jalen Mayfield, tackle out of Michigan as they try and rebuild that offensive line in Pittsburgh. And then 25, Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, really kind of a linebacker, big nickel, kind of do everything athlete out of Notre Dame. He goes to Urban Meyer and the Jags.
Look, man, a lot of interesting names. You got some new names. I think the one to focus on is Greg Newsome, the corner from Northwestern. Haven't seen his name talked about or heard his name talked about a lot. What is it about him that you believe suddenly is now he's a first-round corner?
Well, he's big. He's big, long. He's going to run in the low 4.4s, high 4.3s. So he's going to test like a freak. He's going to jump out the gym. And he's just very instinctive. He can play the football. It just is a really, really good football player that I think just kind of hasn't gotten any love through this process. I've had him in my initial top 50 list. But he's somebody that I think's got a real chance. Once he gets to this pro day process, I think you'll start hearing his name even more, Buck. That's why I have him going there to a team in Indianapolis who loves traits, and he gives you those.
He certainly gives you traits, and all you had to do is watch the Big Ten Championship game. He showed up. He was flying all over the yard. He has an opportunity to be a really solid player.
Yep, and the premium position, those guys are going to go. All right, let's go 26 through 30. Joe Tryon from Washington. He was an opt-out last year, really good edge rusher. He goes to the Cleveland Browns to play opposite of Myles Garrett. Baltimore, I've got taken Trevin Moehrig, the outstanding safety out of TCU. I think he's the best safety in the draft class. The Ravens always go best available player, so that's who he was right there, best available. 28, New Orleans. You'll probably want to revisit this. Mac Jones, quarterback from Alabama. 29, Tevin Jenkins, offensive tackle from Oklahoma State, goes to the Packers. He's got some versatility. He can move around as well. And then 30 is Buffalo taking Azeez Ojulari, an edge rusher, trying to get some more pass rush there for the Bills.
Oh, yeah. We have to talk about the quarterbacks. Whenever a quarterback pops up, he needs to be discussed, particularly if he's going to step in for Drew Brees. Why Mac Jones with the New Orleans Saints?
Well, look, we'll see if they end up bringing back Jameis Winston. I think you could try and do that and also bring in a Mac Jones. But I don't know that Mac Jones fits everybody. I definitely think he fits the Saints with how they play. Accuracy, anticipation, timing. All those are great traits that he possesses. The work ethic, the leadership, he checks all those boxes. I think he would be a good fit there with Sean Payton. Not a super dynamic athlete, not a huge arm, but this is an offense with the Saints that's run at a very high clip without needing those two things. So to me, I think it's a good fit.
Look, he's smart. They have the weapons around him to really allow him to shine. He does a great job of getting the ball out of his hands and allowing his playmakers on the perimeter to do work. He's really improved over the last 2 years. He is going to be a first-round pick. It's just a matter of when someone decides to pull the trigger. But with Sean Payton with the Saints, I think it would work.
All right, 2 picks to go here. At 31, the Kansas City Chiefs get Landon Dickerson as an interior offensive lineman from Alabama. Can play all 3 spots. Coming off an ACL, you've got to get okay with him medically. I just think if you're the Chiefs, it's a good risk to take because just fortify that offensive line and somebody that's a darn good football player. And then 32, I've got Nick Bolton, the linebacker, going to the Bucs.
Dowdle, the blockers ahead, but a great open field tackle. There he is again, Nick Bolton.
Man, interesting pitch, but Nick Bolton stands out to me. When I think about this Bucs defense, and the last time we saw them in the Super Bowl, they were flying around like crazy. And so to put Nick Bolton beside Devin White, to be able to kind of control the middle of the defense, the middle of the field, I like it. He is an underrated prospect, even though we're saying he's a first-round talent. He certainly doesn't get enough love when we talk about some of the top players in this draft class. Yeah,
and remember, Levante David's a free agent, so if they were to lose Levante David, you slide in here with Nick Bolton. The defense does not skip a beat. So there you have it. There's 1 through 32. I'm sure everybody agrees with every single pick.